Okay, protest songs from Prefab Sprout from 1989. It's their fourth studio album, and it was named as such because the songs were, though not overtly political, generally relate to daily existence more than most of Sprout's work. And what's important to note is that this album was released between the second album, Steve McQueen, and the third album, From Langley Park to Memphis. It was released after Langley Park, although it was recorded before Langley Park, but was delayed because it wasn't felt that it was commercial enough. Okay. With regard to the politics, McAloon commented, they're not strictly protest songs like Bob Dylan or Billy Bragg, but they're somewhere in that field. There's several of the songs, Dublin, Wicked Things, Pearly Gates, contain references to God and religious imagery, which was to become common in Prefab Sprout's work. McAloon is from a Catholic background. We're going to go through the track list now. The World of Weight opens, cartwheels across your living room, the kind of tune that makes you want to jump for joy and buy the world a drink. Its chords dangling in the air like a string of pearls. Life of Surprises is next, described as a philosophical vein behind the up and running light soul sounds. Dublin features McAloon accompanying himself on acoustic guitar. It's about the troubles in Ireland. Tiffany's is among the earliest written Sprout songs, dating to the band's formation in 1977. It's about a Newcastle nightclub, Newcastle, of course, where the Sprout come from, and it described by McAloon as very seedy. The band performed at the venue Function Room in 1983, and Tiffany was frequently included in the band's set list in the years leading up to the recording in 1985. Diana, written in 1982, a regular part of the concerts again. It's about the defecation of Diana, Prince of Wales. McAloon elaborated in an interview in 1984. He said, and I quote, "It's really about the Daily Mail, the way they wrote about her, the burden she had. Talking Scarlet concerns forbidden lust and lent its name to the band's official fan club newsletter. God forbid. Till the Cows Come Home is about a provincial place like Dublin." McAloon felt the song would have elevated Steve McQueen, the second album, if it had been included on that track list. And Stuart McConey's review of the album said the song reflects darkly on the impoverished North-East. Then we've got the closer, Pearly Gates, among the best tracks on the alternative Best of Prefab Sprout album. That's what the NME said in 1992. And the song goes to places most pop records have never heard of. Quaint and strangely moving, with all the emotive power of a half-remembered hymn from school days. The song has been described as a precursor to the final tracks on the band's next album, Jordan, The Comeback, which contains themes of mortality, religion, and the afterlife. So that's my take on protest songs. So some more observations then on protest songs by Prefab Sprout. As I mentioned earlier, it was released after From Langley Park to Memphis, but recorded after Steve McQueen, and consequently was pretty overlooked by the listening public. There was little fanfare when it released. It almost slipped out unnoticed. It is definitely more in the Steve McQueen bag rather than contrasting with Langley's adventurism and up-tempo pop single style. But I would consider it to be essential in the Sprout canon. And now, to add a few comments about the tracks, The World Awake, the keyboards and synths swim very much with the dreamy vocals, and I particularly like Wendy Smith's contribution. She's slotted in nicely next to McAloon's lead, gave it a warmth to immerse oneself in. Great mix of that lead and second lead vocal. Life of Surprises, McAloon reminds us that his vocals are quite soothing on your listen, and there's an occasional punch that suggests a sort of trance feel. The guitar filters in briefly as the keyboards dominate. And then Horse Chimes, I like this one. It's got a sort of slower tempo, and McAloon gets into storytelling mood. It has a jazz style guitar feel to it, and once again the chorus is a strong point. Very much Sprout were about the chorus and the additional input from Wendy Smith, which made them very distinctive. Wicked Things sounds a little bit more like a show, shows a more move towards the music on Langley, more pop, but a friendly sound. Then Dublin, a standout. The acoustic solo by Paddy accentuates his vocals, and of course it does hark back to the troubles in Ireland and simple life's appreciation of the small things given what was going on. And it seemed to also suggest that there's a message there from his mother, which he is reminded of when he constructed this song. Tiffany's, as I say, this is a sort of a music venue. I initially thought it might be music hall or a show, a cabaret show. That's because here in Thailand, in Pattaya, Tiffany's is a place where cabaret takes place, and it was of course a nightclub as well. And interestingly enough, it presents a show by transvestites, which is very popular, I might add. There's a boppy sort of reference with those magical rhymes, and it's very, very, it's exquisite. There's some, again, jazzy style guitar solos, and I actually saw, when I listened to it, an extravaganza in the guitar break a bit. Diana, well, that's of course about the late princess. Won't repeat what I said earlier, although it's definitely, I think, a metaphor to impacting love for her as the people's apprentice. And again, harmonies are great. Talking Scarlet, Wendy's vocal leads the intro, and I think it's a little bit about platonic love. Piano by Paddy, which is nice. It's genteel with whispering vocals by Wendy again. And Till the Cows Come Home, an oddity of noises feeds into this sort of country feel that gives the song a distinctive look. And there's a little bit of avant-garde dipped in there with some sort of strange noises
again. And finally, the pearly gates. It's about mortality. I felt not dark necessarily, not celebratory, just an observation as we end our lives and move on. And there's obviously religious connotations there, uh, and as mentioned earlier, and it's got a march-like intro that suggests, well, my extravagant interpretation here, a sort of funeral sort of march type feel to it. So that's my additional look at Protest Sods, but I will be digging out a lyric for Diana and possibly one other.